Hi everyone, welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. My name is Angelica with This is Improv, and today we are interviewing Jason Narvy. Hi Jason.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks for having me on. It's good to be on.
Thanks for being here.
Well, not here.
Well, virtually on screen.
Yeah. There, exactly. Allow my image to be captured by you, You are taking my soul. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, now I own it. So a lot of people might know you from Power Rangers,
right?
But you have a wider range. You do theater, and the last time I saw you was actually performing.
Yes. Oh, that's right. You saw In the Soundless Awe. That's right.
Soundless Awe.
So In the Soundless Awe is the true story of the captain of the USS Indianapolis. For those who don't know it, I should say most people remember it only from the movie Jaws. Quinn talks about his tattoos and all of his marks and scars, and one of them was the names of the USS Indianapolis. World War II ship that actually brought the atomic bomb overseas. The thing it was carrying was really what was going to end the war, so they were getting ready for an actual assault on mainland Japan, and then they got nailed by a Japanese torpedo and they went down. There's 1,100 on the ship, 900 survived. 900 went in the water, but only 300 came out. They were attacked by sharks, died by exposure. It was a horrible story, and the captain here was actually brought up in court-martials, Charles McVeigh III, and he ended up in the 60s, he committed suicide. The guilt just got to him. For the rest of his life, people, not the sailors, but families of sailors that were lost, blamed him. The play was about the last years. The opening moments of the play, if you recall, is basically McVeigh killing himself. So it was a very poignant play. It got more poignant because it was taking place the week before the yearly survivors reunion in Indianapolis. This gives me chills. The survivors of the Indianapolis meet every year, and their families, and actually even the granddaughter of the Japanese submarine, his granddaughter attends the reunions with them every year. And since it was the week that the show was going on, they came up early to see the show. So survivors saw the show, and the year after I saw you last, we were asked to do this show at the reunion, including Bill Tote, the captain of the USS Indianapolis submarine, back at one of at the launching of his ship, was told by the sailors. They said, "Hey, you are now the captain of the Indianapolis. The last captain of the Indianapolis needs your help." And he worked with them to get Captain McVeigh exonerated finally during the Clinton years. So he was there for it as well.
Incredible.
And actually, next month, we were supposed to be down there performing for them for their 75th anniversary of the sinking of the Indianapolis, which is happening this year. And we couldn't because, of course, COVID. And these people are all very old. There's not many of them left. Wonderful men. And it's really poignant, too, to have people like, as a nation, as people, we don't know what heroism is or for, or why we use it. You know what I'm saying? We all believe in superheroes and things that didn't really happen. Why do we need real life heroes? Does it do anything for us? Is it just flag waving? And this year, I think, is a year where everyone is filled with despair. There's so many things going on. First COVID, now all the demonstrations following the death of George Floyd, horrible things. And we just feel absolutely in despair. We feel like we've lost our way. What do? Well, that's why it's kind of great to have men like this still around. They talk about being filled with despair. These are just regular people like you and me who are thrown in the water and being attacked by sharks, or their fellow soldiers who are hallucinating. They're just trying to survive. So to have these guys around in this day and age is just, it shows you what human beings can go through, shows how you can get through it and live a life of more purpose after the tragedies. So I'm hoping that the current tragedies that we're going through teach us something, just like these guys, and that when we're old, the world will have grown into a better place than it is now. That was a tough role. It's a dark role to play a man who kills himself in the opening moments and then living up to those. Well, that's a dark role. That was very tough. I don't I don't want to say I want to go through that acting role ever again. You know, I'm a little bit of a method actor. You know, I don't believe that I am really that captain, but you got to dig deep. You got to dig your real emotions, whether we're talking, you know, in any art, you got to dig deep on something, you know, and so to have to really dig that deeply about such dark things is tough. It's tough, but, you know, stories need to be told, and I don't think you should take that lightly.
So when it comes to acting, what kind of roles do you like to take on?
Good question. Sometimes I just like the story, somebody else's story that I really, really, really dig. Sometimes we go through things in our own lives that we want to explore and get out. And so we find roles we're like, ooh, there's something that I really want to touch upon. But during ISA, I certainly had a lot of death in my life in the years leading up to it. So it was something that I was willing to explore at that time. What is it like not to just lose one person, but 900 people and feel that you're the one responsible? Sometimes it's just fun as hell. There's castmates that you want to work with. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be too much fun. I should not be allowed to have this much fun and charge admission for it, but I'm going to do it, you know? So it depends. It depends where I'm at in my life. It depends on what the script is, what the project is, you know, especially with performing arts. When you get to do a role with a friend, it's almost like you're a kid and someone says, hey, you want to play catch? You know, if that's not what improv is, I don't know what it is, you know? So when your buddies are like, hey, you want to play catch? You go, oh, hell yeah. It's a lot of fun. And I think that's one of the things people think that I always think is the same with acting than improv. You should be playing when you're on stage, period, okay? Being on stage with a bunch of people looking at you is not a natural state of being. And if you don't acknowledge the fact that this is all imaginary, I don't want to say imaginary, but play, you know? I mean, play is the best word for it. I don't like using the word imaginary. There's a term in acting, a Sanford Meisner term, acting realistically under imaginary circumstances. Realistic, imaginary circumstances. That's a good way to put it. So I think play and experimentation are kind of the two things that are the most enjoyable about performing arts for me in general.
Is there a point where improv really became a prominent thing for you, or that you knew, like, I needed to use improv to get through this moment?
Okay, well, first of all, there's in actor training, okay? As an actor, you got to be pliable, first of all. You need to be able to work on impulse. I think a lot of people think of acting as being a show-off. They think of it as turning into somebody else. That's fine and dandy, but you still work on your own impulses. Okay, good actor has good impulse, and that is comedy, tragedy, everyday life. If you don't have impulse, you're not living, right? You don't have a pulse if you don't have impulse, and that's your job, is to have a pulse, have impulse, the thing that propels you into the next thing. So improv as a training tool is central. Okay, keeps you on your feet. It makes your brain work, makes your blood flow. And it makes you just lean into the next thing. People think improv is used only when you forget your lines. But I feel like being in touch with improvising from my earliest days in high school theater, you know, at improv games, to make you have fun, to make you really lean into your scene partner and see, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? Yes, and, right? Yes, that's great. But then I go further on that. When you create characters, I don't like the concept that you are going to perform a character. I don't like that concept, because what that says is, I'm going to show you a puppet, and I'm the meat puppet. I'm made of meat. I will do the puppet. I think what you need to do is find it. And you don't find it by grabbing your script and sitting there and reading it. Hamlet thinks this. Hamlet thinks this. What do I think about Hamlet? Okay, I've sat around for 20 hours thinking about it, and now I'm going to stand up and it's going to be fucking perfect. No, that's not the way it works, right? You need whatever's in here to make sense, and then on your feet, you need to say, okay, let me go after the thing the character wants. And then when you go after it, it might still be stale and static until you connect with your own impulse, the thing that makes you want to do it. Now we're starting to get into real characters, but you're still doing the bare minimum. You're still not a three-dimensional character. You're not living in that moment yet. So you keep playing until the theater is your playground. Okay. And now you can find the character. And to me, the best actors are the ones that say, yeah, but what if? Let me try something. And yeah, that's right out of Stanislavski, straight out of Stanislavski, the creative if, blah, 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 blah. But a good actor is like, okay, I know I do this and I know I do that. Can I try something? That's where the improv begins. I got to try it. It's not resonating with me. The fact of the matter is at some point you might have an intellectual aha, or you might have an emotional catharsis. But whatever it is, you will find the truth only by trying and failing and 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 trying. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, okay. Now you've got an impulse because it resonates with you on a deep level that you may not be able to quantify. And if you can explain it, it's an emotional state based upon what is happening in the room in front of you. To get that sense of play, to get that real what if, is something that I feel is necessary if you want to take your characters to the next level. Okay. I'll also say this, career-wise, and this one is where it does tie back into comedy. Okay. Even in dramatic acting, all acting, you want happy accidents. Okay. You want a happy accident. Oh, what is that? On camera, there's nothing more. There it is, right? Then a happy accident. That's the thing that is either going to make the character three-dimensional or will help save it in the edit. You'll be like, oh, look at that happy accident. That was great. That's not what I asked for, but that's what I wanted. But when I got you had mentioned Power Rangers, and yeah, that's my career is built upon that. Not that when I do Hamlet or Captain McVeigh, not that there's a lot of, Eugene Skulovich from Power Rangers in it. I was 18. I got it. It started my career. And that's when I went from an acting student to a professional actor. I got the role by improvising. They didn't have a finalized script for the character. Okay. And this is a general rule with all TV shows. There's great writers. Even great writers need a few episodes to figure out what the character is about. And then they need to see what the character is like when it's embodied by an actor. Okay. It's fun to watch TV shows and then go back to the first few episodes and you find that they don't know what the hell they're doing yet. They got to find it. So that was completely true of Power Rangers. Bulk and Skull, the fat guy and the skinny guy, my character and Paul Schreier's, they were, the Laurel and Hardy team, were not yet fully integrated to the show. They were bullies, and they figured out right before they hired me that the bullies needed to be more funny than menacing. Okay, but they didn't quite know yet what it looks like, but they only knew, like, well, let's just put them in 4 episodes. That's it. They were in 4 episodes. We weren't the comic relief. So they didn't have much of a script for me. They sent me some sides, and they acknowledged at the audition, they're like, we don't know exactly what it is. So let's just try a few scenarios here, shall we? Because I had spent time with improvisation. I didn't come into the room and say, oh God, I haven't prepared all this. I said, all right, why not? Quite frankly, my objective that day, unbeknownst to any of them, was to get them to remember me as the guy they absolutely freaking hated. Just because
Great plan.
Right? That was a good plan. And it worked out in this case, So I did everything I can just to be obnoxious. I didn't think about a script. I didn't think about what would my character do. All I thought about was, I want to creep them out. And then they're like, hey, can you try this? I'm like, I don't know about that. And I kept throwing stuff at them and throwing it at them. Producers often they don't quite know what they want. So they want to see, well, what do you got that might be marketable, that might be fun, that might be interesting. The last thing they asked me about was, they're like, can you do slapstick comedy? Can I do slapstick comedy? I'm like, that's insulting. I'm like, I'm trained at Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. I'm a method actor. This is freaking insulting. I'm like, I'm leaving. I don't even want this role. I could do slapstick comedy like nobody's. So I pulled the door open, boom, smacked it with my foot so it looked like it hit me in the face. Bam! I flipped over their table. Boom! Head first, backwards over the table, sent papers flying. How's that for your slapstick, pal? So my audition was 95% improvisation. And of course, they paired me up with another actor who was at that point, Paul Schreier, who had done theater. He was in junior college, and he was doing all his improv stuff as well. So when we were like, well, what do we do? Well, we've got 3 lines that are terrible. What can we do with it? And we played. So improv translates to play like it's like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And by doing that, before they ever looked at my callback, Paulie and I had been working, and they never called me in for a official callback. They just started observing from afar as Paulie and I played. That's all they did. And at one point, Paulie turns to me and says, "Hey, dude, there's a lot of suits looking at us right now. I think you may have the role." Right there, without improv, my career would not have started. And of course, that is more traditional, the way people think of improvisation, comedy, shtick, sketch.
Based off of that, something that was supposed to be so short-lived, you you expanded that character and you expanded that career for yourself because you took those chances and made those choices and played.
Okay, so that's another thing about play that we forget about a lot. It makes you relax. It makes you just say, why not? We also did not have the burden of having to be superheroes. We were released from that burden. We could be idiots. So we could do whatever the hell we wanted. We thought we did not have job security. We were in 4 episodes. So we were like, every time we walked out on that set, we're like, let's try something else. Let's try something else. Directors loved it. Absolutely loved it. So did the crew. We made the crew, that was our audience. You know, we had some good, they were the best audience because they're, sitting there all day. And we became best friends with the crew members because we were sitting around all day. And so if we could make them laugh, we thought we were in good shape. Well, and by doing that, by playing around, trying to make our crew members who we adored, make those guys laugh, eventually we did enough stuff that Chaim Saban watched our dailies. He's like, these guys are freaking morons. I want them in every show. That's how it worked, because if you have fun, someone else, your audience will have fun.
And you guys still do things together. You do bits. And do you think that power, that kind of thing that you found, you would have been able to find or you would be able to do with anyone else? Or do you think that you have that kind of special ensemble connection with him?
It was lightning in a bottle. We got very fortunate that we had such chemistry, and Paulie and I both have worked with other actors that we get along with very well, and it clicks. But in this case, it was a little bit of luck. Maybe it was a lot of luck and a lot of training, and those two things happened to coincide. If we hadn't had similar training and backgrounds, this luck would not have worked out. And we keep each other sharp by when we actually do panels or anything like that at a Comic-Con, we'll still try to break each other up. We still improv with each other always. And that's another thing. You got to not be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. So just keep throwing stuff at it. Some of it's going to be great. Some of it's going to really suck. Failure is a great learning tool, isn't it? I do that with my students often. I will have them do something and then afterwards say, okay, you can hate me now. I set you up for failure. And I did that on purpose. I knew you would not succeed. It was the exercise of the thing that made you do it, right? That's a way in which we know they're not going to achieve whatever they want to achieve, so they're going to have to improvise, right?
Yeah.
In a different way. We know you're going to hit a roadblock, so you have to figure out how to get around it.
Yeah.
You're never
failure.
Yeah. It's a gift. There you go. Enjoy it later.
Is there anything in your box that we might not know about? What about you?
No one would know that I'm a trained Shakespearean. Nobody would know that I have a doctorate. Like that is like, you say doctor, are you just trying to get people to turn their head and cough, if you know what I mean? Or, that's the one they're like, sure has a doctorate, not a criminal record? I mean, are you sure about that? That I always say that would be the biggest. I'm a closet intellectual.
It's really cool to talk to you because I feel like I always learn something or I always get some kind of refresher on acting, and you are super knowledgeable. So
but that's where you're good at what you do though, is because you wanna hear about it, you wanna learn. So you keep lighting my candle, so to speak. Let me light this one on fire and see if it goes off. Bam! So that's the thing that it's asking questions, finding people that you want to talk with, finding things that are like, oh, wait a minute, I want to know more about that thing. That's how you keep growing, because artists, really anybody though in this world, if you want to be good at something, you got to keep doing it. You can't stop, and you need to refresh it from time to time. You can't just let it sit the way it is. It'll become stale and stagnant no matter what it is. So you need to kind of push yourself again, go back to the drawing board. I think. And that's a scary thing because we feel like we need to build something. We build it and then it's done. And that's not entirely true. Castles are never completed, are they? They kept building on them. They kept building on them and kept building on them. You go visit a castle, like, well, here's the original keep, or you go to any, old church in Europe, they'll be like, you look at a church and like, well, this looks like a Victorian church. They're like, actually, it was started in the year 1100, Really, like, oh yeah, we kept building this part here. There was a little shrine with some dirt worshiping heathens back then, and then at some point it became some guy came and he was some kind of a monk, and then somebody else came and he was a monk, but he was an architect, so he knew how to do it. He knew how to keep the mud from sliding back into the river, and then you got to keep building. You got to keep building.
The maintenance project, the constant maintenance project.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Before we go.
Mm-hmm.
What are some projects that you're working on? What are you doing right now? How are you growing?
How am I growing? Wow. This year I've really pushed myself. In some ways I've returned to old pastures. I just got done doing a film with Johnny Young Bosch. I don't yet know what the release date is. It's a short film. It might be used as a pilot, so I hesitate to give too much, but right now I can tell you it's called Exodus. That's the working title. We don't know. I just worked with Shout Factory TV to be the spokesman for Tacobout It TV, which is a television streaming channel dedicated to the tokusatsu genre, for those fans of Japanese sci-fi, Godzilla films, Kamen Rider, and all that stuff. So I'm very excited by that. I just finished a screenplay that I'm probably going to film here in Chicago. I'll probably use students. I don't know yet because I really like it. I'm really excited by this project. So I'm kind of pushing myself. I spent a lot more time doing film this year than I have in the past because of COVID in many ways. I had a lot of theater projects that I was starting to line up, but I'm like, I'm going to spend a little more time in film this year. So that's kind of how I kind of pushed myself, So those are a few of the projects on the percolator.
Just a few. It's just a few. Those are huge. Yeah.
Those are big.
Yeah.
Those are big. And this year, I gotta tell you, talking about going back to old stuff. Okay, so here's something. So I went back to stage combat school. Okay, I'm 45. It's been 20 years, right? Uh-huh. So this is a way that you got to always, kind of test yourself. So I went back this year. In preparation for it, at least in part, I started taking boxing lessons.
Okay.
Because as a 45-year-old going back to fight school for, like 2 solid weeks of fighting for 8 hours a day, I didn't want to be the one who got my ass kicked.
First day of class, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh God, and there's nothing worse than saying, I know this, and you go and you're like, okay, I don't know it very well. I'm kind of old. But it's a great way to show how, when you think you're getting old, you got to go back and test yourself. Because I went back, and just like I did 20 years ago, I graduated with top marks. So I was very proud of myself.
Wow.
Even as an old guy like me. Now I broke my hip, and it was hard to hold the sword when I had my walker. But it just goes to show you got to keep training. You got to try something new, something that scares you a little bit every day. So
that's awesome. That's incredible. Way to go! You can fight on stage and on screen and in real life.
Yeah. Although I still look at stunt guys, I'm like, man, some of the guys, because like I said, I just did this thing with Johnny, and some of those stunt guys, they're freaking good, and I'm like, I think I know what I'm doing, and then I see them, and I'm like, I'm terrified right now because you're so much better than me. And Johnny he's a kung fu dude. So like when he's like, okay, so you gotta throw a punch this way or that way, and we're practicing. He's like, no, go ahead and get close. There you go. And Johnny is like, no, you guys gotta get closer. So this is a guy that really knows his stuff, who literally is like, throw a real punch at me. He'll say that to whoever he's fighting, throw a real punch at me. Don't worry, you won't hit me. And he's right, and they won't, because he's just like, no, it's got to get closer. No, it's got to get closer. No, it's got to get closer. Okay, that'll be close enough.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's good to see. So yeah, it's intimidating to see people who are better than you sometimes. But
Yeah, and that's what helps you grow. And you did it. You proved yourself. You passed.
I passed. I passed.
You're hardcore.
I'm hardcore.
Yeah.
Booyah!
Well, thank you for joining us for Talk About It.
Thank you for having
me. It's
me.
been amazing. Thank you.
A blast. Bye to your viewers.
Bye. This is Jason Narvy, and I'm Angelica here with This is Improv. Thanks, you guys.
See ya!